Welcome back to our HaloPSA Integration Runbook series. Today we're going to be talking about Runbook Level Variables. So if you've watched some of the previous videos in the series, you will know from part 2, part 3, we have talked about output variables before and their job in terms of your automations. Today we're going to be covering Runbook Level Variables and how they differ to output variables. My word of advice to you is to start using runbook level variables instead of output variables, generally wherever possible, and I'll show you some of the reasons why they're a better choice for most things. Let's drive in and have a look at the screen share. So we've got a runbook here, which is AI auto triage, which we're also going to cover on another video as well as to how this works. But for now, we're just going to cover runbook level variables and what role they play. If we take a look, and you'll have seen on some of the previous videos that within a method, we can set output level variables. And here's some examples of output variables within this runbook step. So basically, this will basically go away, do an AI evaluation of the ticket, and bring back a suggested category, impact, and urgency from OpenAI. And these should get captured within these output variables here. So if we do a quick test, and you'll see this working, grab a ticket example, 732973. Just going to put a couple of example categories just to get a result. So we're going to test this method now, and you can see that the output variables are captured. So we've got output category suggestion email, output impact suggestion 3, and output urgency suggestion 2. So that's all worked, and we can see that it's captured those output variables from these paths here, which again, if this isn't making sense to you, go back and watch part 2 of this series. Now, effectively, what we can do with our output variables is we can use them later on in the runbook. So in future steps, so we want to update the ticket, we can use these output variables that we've captured in a previous step to bring them in here. The downside to output variables is that you can only use the name once across all of your runbooks inside of Halo. So if we were to basically take the output variable name here, which is output category suggestion, and let's say we wanted to use that same name in a different runbook, and we create a new method, and we want to capture a variable in a new method somewhere else. If I go in and I'm just going to put response here, and it says output variable names must be unique across all integration methods, output category suggestion. So what this is saying is that this is already in use in another runbook, and so we can't use that name again. Why this is important is that we're getting to a point now, and Halo are starting to put more runbooks into their online repository so that you can download things and get started with runbooks a bit easier with things that have been built previously, such as the AI auto triage runbook. The issue with output variables is that if you import that into your Halo and there's already an output variable with the same name, it will clash and it won't work. There is another distinct disadvantage of output variables as opposed to runbook variables, which is that if we've got two methods, so in this AI auto triage step, we've got one here, which is AI evaluation. This uses the OpenAI connection. And what I was doing just for demonstration purposes is looking to see the difference between OpenAI evaluating the ticket and the Anthropic Claude API, essentially to do the same thing. Now, I've got two different steps in the runbook, and you can see here we've got runbook level variable mappings, and with a runbook level variable We can use the same name repeatedly. So you can see that we've got these runbook level variables for called category underscore suggestion, impact underscore suggestion, and urgency underscore suggestion. So we've got the three there, and they're in this Claude AI step. And if we take a look at the OpenAI step, we can see that we've got the exact same names for the runbook level variables. So this means that in multiple steps, we can use the same runbook level variable, and we can capture different information into those variables. We can also just modify those variables as we move through the steps as well, which is really useful. So you can adapt and change those variables quite easily from step to step. If you can also notice that in the OpenAI step that we've got, AI evaluation, you can see category suggestion is currently response choices, the first array, so 0 in the array, message, content, and category. And I'm just going to pop over to the Claude AI, and we see category suggestion is just response, content, text, category. So there is a different result that we're capturing, but placing that same into the same runbook level variable. Now, one of the downsides with runbook level variables is that we can't test them in this runbook step, and they're also built slightly differently. So you can see that although it's very similar to our output level variables, you can see that they are enclosed by these angle brackets at each side. So that's important to note with a runbook level variable, is you will need to enclose it with angle brackets like this. Whereas in an output variable, go back here, you can see our output variables are without angle brackets. Now, because you can't test runbook level variables in the step themselves, if you're still getting familiar and you're not 100% confident on whether this is going to work, what I would suggest doing is basically build the variables inside an output, inside the output variables first, do a test, make sure that you get the results at the top. And we can do that again, just to demonstrate. The 2973. So go in and test it within a step like that. Get a result. You're looking to see at the top that these output variables are being captured. Then you can essentially just go and copy the value you've got here, create a new runbook level variable, which you can do by simply clicking on add within the runbook level variable mappings. And then if you haven't already established the variable, you can add a new runbook level variable. You would basically go in and just paste, copy it. You would paste the text from the output variable and place it into the value, essentially like this, and just make sure that it's got these angle brackets, the two angle brackets at either side. And then when you run the runbook, you'll notice that will work. One other tip whilst we're at it is that you can also take the value of the runbook variables, or any variable basically, within a runbook, and drop it into an end step. So if you want to validate that, let's just have a quick look. We've got this SQL get categories at the moment, which pushes this into a runbook variable of SQL categories here. Now, if you ever want to know what's in one of those variables, what you can do is add an end step. Add an end step like that. Just going to put checking SQL variables. And now what you can do as well is you can do a success or a failure state, and you can basically have a message in here, which is also really good for diagnosing some of the end results of your runbooks. But in this one, I'm just going to find the so we'll go SQL categories. So I'm going to add the SQL categories, and we can put in front of that variable. We'll just add that there. Hit save. We've got this end step here, and I'm just going to momentarily attach that. So it's not actually going to carry on the runbook. And then we are going to run now, just to run through the runbook. Go to the log, and we can see that the log got to the action of checking SQL variables. And if we take a look at the log, we can now see the runbook result SQL variable, and it's dumped the values from the SQL variable that we've captured in the first step into the end result here. So that's quite handy to use when you want to try and diagnose certain things in the runbook if you can't do a test within the step itself. Hopefully that's useful, and join us in future videos for more information on HaloPSA automation using runbooks and custom integrations. Thanks for joining. I'll see you on a future video.